We in trouble. If you're a fan of any NFC team, we are in trouble. Like we are in trouble. I can't wait to see what this game is gonna be. This Eagles Packers game in Week 12, because in my opinion, that's going to be the precursor to the championship game, in my personal opinion. And they're probably going to be playing for number one seed at that point. Those two teams just look like they're far and away better than everyone else. And as far as the Eagles go, that defense is looking nasty, bro. It's not looking good. It's not looking good for us. It's not looking good for anybody in the league right now who has to face the Packers right now. Who has to face Michael Parsons, who I think is the most focused I've ever seen him. So I'm gonna start with the defense versus with the Packers defense versus Commanders offense, because you just saw Jeff Halfley was coaching circles around Cliff Kingsbury tonight. Like he had him in a straitjacket, right? And you just saw second year Cliff Kingsbury where he just doesn't seem to know what plays to call. He doesn't really know how to get anybody going, and he just expects the weapons that he has to just do all the work, right? And Halfley was just locking that up the whole game. You got to have creativity against this team, I feel like, on the offensive end, because if you don't, they're going to kill you with their creativity on their offensive end, and they're going to kill you with the creativity that Jeff Halfley has. Like he was making up for the size that they lacked on the defensive line by creating like really interesting creative stunts, and it was killing them the whole night. He had Micah Parsons starting off in the middle, which like he's starting off kind of at like that 5 tech spot, and he had him posting up on stunts on the outside. So he would come onto the outside or he would come back in, right? So, and then towards the end of the game, he had Micah just lining up on an island with Josh Connerly, which Josh Connerly was not having a good night. Sorry, rookie, but that was a rookie, but he was struggling the whole game. Like he was getting, to be fair, it is Micah Parsons. It is Micah Parsons. And he did also do that to Panay Sewell last week. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like he just, it's not, like, to be fair, Rook, this is not the best way to judge Josh Connerly right now, because I think Josh Connerly is going to be a solid tackle. But this definitely was not the best game to judge him off of. I'll tell you that right now. He was getting his butt whooped the whole night by Micah Parsons. But Micah Parsons was also whooping everybody on that last spot there. Laramie Tunsil was getting it. Everybody was getting it. Anybody who was in his way was getting it. So, like, he was just incredible. And my pick to have Jeff Halfley be nominated for Assistant Coach of the Year, looking pretty good. But also, I might need to bump that up a little bit because, man, he might win Assistant Coach of the Year, to be honest with you, how good this damn defense is. Like, this is some really, man, like, Jeff Halfley's just been really good for this defense. Last year, they were pretty good, and they had less talent. Now they got, like, a legitimate, like, number one pass rusher. He's coaching guys out of the water with this stuff, and he's just scheming guys out of the water too with this. Like he had, I mean, just to see that, and also their young guys are starting to show up a little bit. They're young guys that you haven't really expected. Like Keyshawn Nixon was looking like prime Darrelle Revis the whole night. Like he was locking dudes up. I'm like, where did this come from? I just remember Keyshawn Nixon, the punt returner. Maybe I didn't watch enough Packers games last year, and maybe he was doing this last year, but he looks really, really good in this game. And he was locking up, like, Debo and McLaurin at times, right? So he looked really, really good in this game. Bullard was just flying. That whole defense, as a matter of fact, was just flying. You could tell that they're really... This Micah Parsons acquisition hasn't just added a new player, it's added another level of fire to them. Where they, like, you could tell this defense really feels like, hey, like, excuse my language, but can't nobody with us right now. Can't nobody with us right now. Like, that's what it seems like they're feeling. And you can see it on them. They're just like, we're flying around, we're knocking dudes out, Micah's going to handle his thing, and then we get to fly around and do our thing. And it's so clearly, they're just so comfortable, and they're having a great time, and they're having fun out there with each other, and they seem really focused. That's the other part that's just like, that's like making me go, man, we're in trouble. like we're in trouble. Any offense that's facing this team, especially if you're an NFC offense, when it comes to them playoffs, when it comes to that, we in trouble because that defense just looks locked in. It is week two. It's week two when you're that locked in this early, you don't see that level of locked in taper off. Like they don't look like that they're like confused about anything or they don't know what they're doing. They seem very comfortable in their approach, what they're doing, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, and they just attack. And it's super aggressive defense, and it's just really, really well run by Jeff Hafley. And you know, to take it to the Commanders, this is an issue that I thought the Commanders would have all year. There's two issues that showed up in this game. I'm going to get to the other one later. But the first issue is their O-line. I've been kind of saying this about their O-line since last year, and I feel like their O-line is just not very good. I mean, you know, going to get Laramie Tunsil was a good, like a good swing, right? Because he is Laramie Tunsil, right? But Laramie Tunsil is also in his 30s, his early 30s, and he's coming off of probably the worst year he's had in forever, right? So I when they first traded for him, I thought it was like, this is not a great trade for them. This is good. Maybe it's definitely better than what they had, but to give up that much for a guy on the wrong side of his 30s who's coming off of the worst year of his career at a position that requires a lot more athleticism, you would expect that guy is probably not, that his prime is probably past him at this point. Like this, the fact that he's on a downturn probably means he's going to continue to go down that downturn, right? So that's usually what happens, right, at these positions. And so Laramie Tunsil was struggling. Josh Connolly, I think, is going to be better, but like he was struggling. He's a rookie. I give him credit for that. But you know, Allegretti and Cosme and Biotish, those guys aren't bad. They're not bad players. They're just not great players. They're not good players. They're going to get beat a lot. And unless you got like really big time guys on the tackle places, you're going to struggle. You're going to struggle to stop those edge rushers, and then the edge rushers are going to create opportunities for the interior guys to work on Cosme and Allegretti and all this other stuff. Like, I saw that issue, and I saw that issue I'm pretty sure I talked about it in my predictions video, but they don't have the guys up front, and their offense also doesn't really have the weapons. They kind of have JD, and that's kind of it. And I love Jaden Daniels, but I love Jaden Daniels. I think he's a great quarterback, and this is no shade for me as an Eagles fan. I don't like that he doesn't slide, bro. He doesn't slide. Like, I've seen him slide maybe once or twice. I mean, he slides, but it's very rare, and it's very like, oh, I gotta slide. He's sliding too late. It's perfect example of, like, to me, like a quarterback sliding and doing it to take care of themselves is like what Justin Herbert did in the game against the Chiefs, right? Jalen Hurts does it all the time. And a lot of people give him crap because, he slid too early. It's like, no, he's keeping himself protected. That's why he's rarely injured with anything serious. And if he is injured, he's out a game or two. He's not, he's a concussion where he'll take one, but it won't be every single, like Jaden Daniels, when you watch him run, every single time he runs, it's more often that he's going to take a hit than he is going to take a slide, right? And that eventually, one of these days, he's going to get popped like the wrong way, and he's going to be out for a while. And you just don't want to see that from a young guy like him. You want to see him be comfortable in the pocket and also protect himself. And that's his job as a quarterback. It's his job to protect himself, especially if you're a rushing quarterback. It's your job. It's not the job of you can't be like, I'm going to take a hit and then expect the flag. You ain't Patrick Mahomes. Like, that's just not what's going to happen. Right? And even Patrick Mahomes has learned to embellish and do all this other stuff to get the flag because refs are not going to call it all the time. So you have to like protect yourself more often than not. You can't rely on the refs to give you the penalty and all this other stuff. Or you can't rely on your athleticism because athleticism is fleeting. Like, that stuff can hit you and all of that. I think he's still a great thrower. I'm not trying to judge his ability to throw. He's a great thrower. He can do all of that. But he's a true dual threat quarterback, And a true dual threat quarterback it is up to them to protect themselves. You don't see Lamar Jackson taking hits like that. And if he does, it's usually like, oh, I'm getting a touchdown type of hits. It's not, oh, I'm just getting a first down. It's like, no, if he's getting a first down, he's sliding. It's just slide, right? So we need to see that more from Jaden Daniels. It's a concern I've had from him even last year. But you could tell he felt like he had to be the whole offense because he didn't have any weapons. I mean, Terry McLaurin's a great wide receiver. Don't get me wrong, but he's a good number one. He is a number one, but he's like a mid-level to low-end number one, where it's like he's not Jamar Chase. He's not he's not AJ Brown. He's not Amon-Ra St. Brown. He is legitimately a number one, but he's one of those guys that's way better when he's paired with a number two that can ball as well. And I know that they were looking for that in Debo, but in my opinion, Debo has been kind of, again, I live in the Bay Area, so I watch a lot of 49ers football. Debo has been kind of washed. He's still got juice. He still can play, but he's not Debo of old. Like, think of, like, Debo right now is like, for me, is like Odell with the Rams, right? It's not that he's bad. It's just, he going to give you a game or two where he's balling, but he ain't going to he's not going to be the Debo that he was, because what made him special was his versatility. And his injuries have stopped him from being as versatile, because you can't just put him in the, what made him special is that you could put him in the running back position, that you could spread him out wide, you could put him in the slot, you could put him anywhere. That's what made him special. He doesn't really have that anymore because of, he's doing less stuff to keep himself healthy, and it's just it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. And he's a good player, but he's not the guy that you want him as your number two anymore, in my personal opinion. I think he's still got juice. I think you could still do good stuff with him, but he's a guy that I want to be like my third or my fourth at this point in his career. Not that he was never that good. He was definitely that good, but he's not that guy anymore, in my personal opinion. I keep repeating it because the internet will hate. The internet will be like, you were dumb, like whatever, right? I don't care. That's just my opinion on the matter. So like that's the biggest issue I saw tonight with the Commanders' offense is that they lack weapons, and they also lack a good O-line, or an O-line that's consistent. It's not necessarily their O-line's bad. It's just they're inconsistent. They're not like the worst O-line, but they're not prepared for the type of defensive lines they're going to see if they're trying to win a Super Bowl. We saw it last year with the Eagles, and the Eagles were just, Jalen Carter was eating that freaking that offensive line up. The interior offensive line, he was destroying them. And then you look at Micah Parsons today. They had Micah Parsons going everywhere. He was destroying everybody. Like, it's just they're not prepared for that level of defensive line. I would argue that, they might struggle against like a Detroit Lions defensive line or even a Rams defensive line, in my personal opinion. I think that they are they're a team with a really good quarterback that doesn't seem to know how to build the rest of the stuff, right? They don't know what else to put around him, and they're trying to supplement. They're trying to take advantage of this rookie contract by giving him a bunch of older guys that know what they're doing, and I understand that approach. I don't necessarily think it's the right approach. Look at Von Miller. I forgot they had Von Miller, and then they cut to Von Miller when Dedrick Weiss was on the ground hurt. Also, Dedrick Weiss, it's just a bunch of 30-year-olds, kind of like 30-year-old players that are just not there anymore, or are starting to get on their downturn, and it's just not the right thing. Like, it's just not the right thing. And you know what? I'm gonna let this drag me into the Commanders' defensive conversation, because that was the other issue. This is the second issue I was talking about with the Commanders, is their defense is just stockpiled with a bunch of old guys. I thought Trey Amos looked really, really good tonight. He's the rookie corner. I love him. I loved him coming out of Ole Miss last year. But Marshawn Lattimore was just getting destroyed, man. And they were even talking about on the broadcast of how this guy's only played 25 games in the last 3 seasons. 25 games. And to put that into context, because at first when I heard it, I was like, 25 games? That's a lot of games. 16 plus 16 is 32, right? 16. I gotta do the math real quick. 16 plus 16, right, is 32. I did the math right. Math not my strong suit at this point in time. But 32 games, that's 2 seasons or 32 games. You add another 16 on that, he's played less than half, right? He's played less than half of the games that he would have had. Like, Marshawn, and it's not that Marshawn's a bad corner anymore. And again, it's the same thing with Debo. It's like he's not a bad corner anymore, but he's just not that guy anymore. You know what I mean? Marshawn used to be a shutdown. You couldn't throw to the guy's side of the field good, right? And now he's like the guy that's getting targeted throughout the game because he just doesn't have the athleticism and the speed in his lower half anymore to keep up. Like, I saw that too. It was an early play. I'm trying to remember what wide receiver that was. I think Dontavian Wicks. He was running a little out route, a little speed out. He came up, cut, and then like Marshawn was playing off coverage, but old Marshawn would have been able to recover and hit that in zone, or recover, hit the ball out, or at least recover and make the tackle early and knock the ball out or something, right? But he was so slow to get into it. And Dontavian Wicks caught it, stepped inbounds, and walked out before the guy even touched him. And it was just like, he doesn't have the speed anymore. He doesn't have the athleticism to keep up with these guys anymore. He's a guy that you can put out there and he can be serviceable, but he's gonna get targeted, and it's gonna look bad. It's not gonna look good. He was looking like a Dory Jackson out there, if I'm being completely honest with you. And then you go to the linebackers. Bobby Wagner's still good, but he old as hell. Bobby Wagner can still play. Don't get me wrong there. Bobby Wagner still play. The linebackers are decent, right? But even then, he's still old, right? So anything can happen at any time. He's kind of an Iron Man most of the time, but like anything can happen with him. But then you go to the O-line right now, right? I mean, not the O-line, the D-line. You had Dedrick Weiss go down, and that looked bad as well. That looked rough. You had Von Miller sitting on the sideline, and I mean, they were so depleted that you had Al Michaels and Kurt Herbstreit talking about how good Javon Kinlaw was, and I'm like, what Javon Kinlaw have y'all been watching? Like, I don't understand. And like, not to say that Javon is not like a good player. He can play, but he's not. The way they was talking about it was like he was like a dominant interior lineman. I'm like, no, he's not. He's alright. He's good. He's solid. He can give you a sack or two, you know, but he ain't turning it up like that. He's not, he's not a guy that you really got to scheme about and think about, really. You know, so it's just their D-line is just lacking youth. The whole team is lacking youth, to be honest with you. Look at Austin Eckler, another guy. I forgot to even mention him off the offense. Another guy who was really older. Love Austin Eckler too, but he's older and he just pops his Achilles. Like, and again, a lot of the stuff, these are freak things that are just going to happen. Injuries happen. They can happen to young guys too, but they're more likely to happen to older guys, older athletes that are above the age of 30. These are just facts, right? So when you load your team up with 30-year-olds and they all start getting hurt, that's a problem. And I also was saying it too in my weekly wrap up. I like this Washington defensive line was interesting, but can they keep it up? And everybody was praising them, going like, this was a dominant performance in the week one. I'm like, they're playing the Giants. The Giants might literally be the worst team in the NFL right now. Like it's either them or the Dolphins, right? They don't have a good their O-line is terrible. So of course they're dominating that awful O-line that has maybe one good player on it. And that's like Andrew Thomas. And it's like, of course they're dominating. It just doesn't make sense to even mention that. They should do that's what they should do. That's like praising Alabama for beating like, for beating like a Mississippi State or something. Like what are we doing? Like, you're supposed to do that. Well, maybe not Alabama right now, but like let's say Georgia. That's like praising Georgia for beating Mississippi State. You're supposed to do that. You're supposed to beat Troy. You know what I mean? Like, you're not supposed to, You know what I'm saying? We're not supposed to be celebrating that like it's some big deal. It's like you're supposed to beat them. So I was skeptical about how dominant that performance actually was because in my opinion, it looked like a lot of times their defensive linemen were out of position, were getting beat. They just were better. They were just better than the Giants O line. And now we see them against a better O line, and they couldn't do anything to Jordan Love the whole game. They were barely getting any pressure on him the whole game, and he was just tossing the ball out there, just having a good time. They were basically out there playing backyard football. They had a little moment in the middle of the game where like the Packers were just trying to figure their ways out, and Matt LaFleur went to more like simplistic play calling. But once he got back in his bag, there was nothing they could do. So it's just I didn't understand for lack of a better term, the Washington glazing has been so intense this offseason that I'm like, no, bro. Like they're not gonna do it. There were the few people that would say like, oh, they're older and they're gonna struggle, and we all like I was one of those people. But for the most part, most people were acting like they were going to be good again. And I'm just like, how? Why? For what reason? Like, what do they have on this team? I mean, again, Jaden Daniels, and they also couldn't get the run game going, too. Like, let's look at these stats real quick. Jordan Love against their defense, he was 19 for 31, 292 yards, 9.4 yards per attempt, and 2 touchdowns. And he what was his rushing stats? He had 3 rushes for 12 yards. Josh Jacobs was 23 carries for 84 yards. Josh Jacobs was big for them. Yeah, it's just like Jordan Love was pretty much getting everything he wanted out of them. I want to see what the completion percentage was. 61. Neither one of their completion percentages were great. 61.3 is solid, but it's not great. You want that to be a little more like 66, 67, something around there. But he was good. He was good in this game. He did what they needed to do. He was solid, and he just did what they like. It just felt like they were getting whatever they wanted the whole game, and it just felt like the Commanders' defense really couldn't do anything except for their one little pocket where Matt LaFleur was just being more vanilla. And but when they were like, all right, when the Commanders scored that touchdown to make it 17-10, they were like, all right, time to put it away. All right, time to put it away. Matt LaFleur got in his bag again, and they just said, bye. Like, goodbye now. You guys are not as good as us. Goodbye now. You're done. Go sit down over there. And it's just like they just got manhandled. The Commanders got manhandled this whole game. They got so dominated. And this was in a game too where, I want to talk about this actually. I did not expect Savion Williams to be the guy that started showing up for the Packers before Matthew Golden. I'm not, like I've said before, you probably, if you've been watching my videos, you probably have heard this already. Matthew Golden to me I didn't love him as this number one, the best wide receiver in the draft. I thought Tet was better. But I didn't think he would. I thought he would show up by now. He would have like some big moment. He was solid in this game. He's been catching the passes that are coming his way, but he's not really doing much with it. He hasn't really shown up yet. He had one big opportunity, but that was really more Jordan Love overthrew him, and I was kind of on Jordan Love. But they'll connect eventually. They got so many guys on this team who are like solid number twos that Jordan Love is just spreading the ball around. He's spreading the love right now. Pun intended. Sorry. I was corny as hell. But anyway, like I honestly did not mean to do that. But yeah, like he's spreading the ball around, spreading the love, and it's infectious. You can see the team. I mean, Tucker Kraft was a killer tonight. 6 receptions for 124 yards, and 1 TD. I mean, that's just he's incredible. Tucker Kraft, by the way, is he announcing himself is this finally the Tucker Kraft year where he's like, I'm one of the best tight ends in the league right now, like, and there's nothing y'all can do about it. Like, is this the year we're gonna get? He was reminding me of Goddard out there, where he just didn't have the speed, but he's so big and he's hard to tackle that he'll put that stiff arm on you, or he'll just put a shoulder on you and get you the F out of there, right? And it's just he had so many weapons to throw to. You had that incredible catch. It was like in the middle of the first quarter. That catch by Malik, That I thought for sure that wasn't a catch, and then they showed the replay, and he's just like foot down, going out, another foot down, and I was like, whoa, that's a beautiful catch from Malik Heath. That was his only catch the whole night. That was his only catch the whole night, right? So like, yeah, and then you had Romeo Dobbs thrown to 5 times, caught 3 for 28. Dontavian Wicks thrown to 6 times, caught 4 for 44. You know, he was just spreading the ball around, really working it. And they just were really creative too. Like that spinner orbit end around that they did with Savion Williams was an incredible play. It just was really good stuff from their offense. I would like to see them sustain it for a full game and not have these pockets where they're just like letting teams get back into it. But it just looked really good. And it just looked really good. Yeah, so like overall, this game is explained by one thing. That's really kind of it from this game because like the Packers were so freaking dominant in this game. Was that the Packers are legit. They're here to stay. Micah Parsons looks like he's on a freaking mission right now. And so does Matt LaFleur. So like they're a problem, and also Commanders are too damn old. At this point, we're gonna have to just admit it. The Commanders are way too old, and they're gonna have to get young at some point before they have to pay Jaden Daniels. They have to get young. And Josh Harris, we're gonna see Josh Harris because again, as a multi-sport enjoyer, I know Josh Harris as the owner of the Sixers, and as the owner of the Sixers, he's a cheap little person, right? So let's see what happens when guys got to start getting paid. Granted, it's going to be a while before JD has to get paid, but look what happened with Terry McLaurin this year. What's going to happen if Jakrowski Merritt turns into a real thing? What's going to happen with Josh Connerly? What Trey Amos looked really good tonight. You're going to have to pay him eventually. What if he's like really, really good for this year, right? There has to be at some point, they have to be questioned. Like, when are they going to get younger? And the only way to get younger is to start unloading some of these older guys in contracts and probably suck a little more than you do right now. But you got to figure it out. Because the approach of let's sign a bunch of old guys to maximize Jaden's rookie contract feels like a good way to waste your rookie quarterback and also to waste your quarterback in general. So they're going to have to, if they really want to win a championship, they really want to be like serious contenders, they got to get younger. They have to. And I know it's earlier in the season, but like if the old guys are getting hurt now, we're talking about old guys. We're not talking about young guys who can figure it out. We're talking about older guys who are past the age of 30. If they're already getting hurt now and struggling to maintain in the first 2 games of the season, that is not something that's going to get better over the course of the season. That's something that's probably going to get progressively worse. So we'll see what happens with them, but that's the 2 takeaways, in my opinion, from this game is the Commanders are too damn old, and Green Bay is legit and serious in here, and the rest of the league is in trouble, and we need to figure, and the Eagles, just talking from my Eagles perspective, I'm scared. I am scared, but I'm sure the Eagles will still be damn good and still be competing with them, but them Packers looking like a real tough out right now. But you still got a whole year. Still a fun game. Still fun to watch these teams grow and learn. And talk to you guys again soon on Sunday for Sunday Night Football. Go Birds forever.